Okay, hello, my name is Sophie Meebus and I'm from Le Cordon Bleu and I'm here with my colleague Kath Phillips.
Hello.
And we look after the admission process for the Le Cordon Bleu Master of Gastronomic Tourism, which is a collaboration between Southern Cross University and Le Cordon Bleu. And we're going to start this morning with a short video.
The Le Cordon Bleu Master of Gastronomic Tourism is a collaboration between Le Cordon Bleu and Southern Cross University. It's an online program and it really represents an innovative new program that caters to the enormous growth in the world of gastronomic tourism. Gastronomic tourism, of course, is a multifaceted activity out there that involves whole communities. It's really about food and wine, or food and drink when you're on tour, when you're on holiday, and all the businesses that feed into, excuse the pun, into that world. But of course, on the academic side, it's really about the study of all things to do with food and drink, because the study of food and drink is a very holistic type of study. It's very multidisciplinary by nature, and so the new degree in gastronomic tourism opens the door for people to really gain a more holistic understanding of the world of food and wine. The collaboration with Southern Cross University, began as a conversation, really because of their expertise in tourism and hospitality and our interest in gastronomy. The Master of Gastronomic Tourism will appeal to undergraduates who have an interest in food and perhaps haven't had the opportunity to extend that interest into postgraduate study. The Master of Gastronomic Tourism, of course, will also appeal to the mature age student who perhaps has had a long-term interest in food culture and drink culture and who wants to take it up purely because they love food and wine and food and drink and want to extend their knowledge and understanding. The more we know, the more we actually enjoy. The relationship between pleasure and knowledge is obviously something we talk about in the program. One of the strengths of the degree, of course, is that it's entirely online. And so that means that a student can study potentially from anywhere in the world. And we also offer a wide range of subjects. There are 12 units in the degree, and they cover a wide field of topics from the history of food right through to entrepreneurship and management. And so it appeals to people who perhaps are working and seek to study online part-time. So part-time study is ideal for this degree.
As long as you've got high-speed internet access and access to a computer, you can study this program from anywhere in the world. And we have people studying from their iPad, from their Mac computer, from their Microsoft. So it really is a flexible software system. The Southern Cross University use Collaborate, and we find that it is quite flexible, and people can log in according to their life commitments. So we ask that people allocate between 10 and 15 hours per unit per week, and the units run for about 12 weeks. So we have 3 intakes per year in February, June and October, and each of those units runs for about 12 weeks, and we ask that people commit 10 to 15 hours per week. I found that I could do the readings and the research during the week after work, and then I could do my assignments on the weekend. But, people fit it in around their lifestyle, so people allocate time to the program as it fits in with their work, their life, their family, and what suits them best. And you can interact online via discussion boards, you can interact in group, you can interact one-on-one with fellow students, you can leave comments, or you can watch the podcasts and recordings. It really does have an international focus, as I said, students from around the world, and also staff that come from around the world, and staff that are based all around Australia who are bringing their specialist knowledge into the units. So there are different unit assessors for the different units that specialise in those areas. And a lot of those teaching staff have got research in the field and really can offer a fascinating insight into their specialised areas. And Southern Cross University specialise in specialist tourism. So, gastronomic tourism is one of those fields of specialist tourism. Finally on that page, from next year, the course structure will change slightly. Currently there are 6 core units and that will become 9 core units, and there will be an opportunity to do an internship as part of the elective units. So that's not currently available in 2014, but from 2015 students can elect to do a 12-week component of internship that's relevant to their interest in gastronomic tourism. We're just going to run through some testimonials. We've got here Christo Armstrong. Christo is getting to the end of the course now and works in wine up in Sydney, in New South Wales, Australia. And Christo had some experience in the field and really just wanted to get a qualification to back the experience that he had. Next we'll move on to Samantha Gowing. Samantha has been working as a food as medicine chef, and Samantha has now branched out on her own. She's written a book called The Healing Feeling, and Samantha specialises in food as medicine, using food to heal your body. And again, Samantha was looking to get a qualification to support her future career. And she has now moved out and started her own business and is guest speaking around Australia, and is really doing a fantastic job. Finally, we've got Sarah Gibbons, and Sarah graduated with a graduate certificate in gastronomic tourism, and Sarah came from a background of dietetics and nutrition and wanted the chance to look at gastronomy from a different angle and really wanted to look at the pleasurable side of food and drink as it affects our life. And so Sarah is now working for the Department of Health and Ageing based in Canberra as a graduate, and Sarah used her knowledge combining with her dietetics and nutrition to have a full understanding of how food and drink affects us from a cultural perspective, a historical perspective, and to better understand food and drink in context, not just of nutrition, but of lifestyle. Moving on, we'll just talk a little bit about the structure, and then I'm going to ask any questions that people may have. The course is run over 12 units, so the full Master of Gastronomic Tourism requires students to complete 12 units of study through the Southern Cross University online MySCU system. And MySCU is a really easy to use system, and students are supported in each of the units by a unit assessor. There is a unit guide, which is a really crucial tool for students to download, and students then work through a range of topics in each unit and have assignments to complete. They may work in a group, they may do an online assignment, for example, a multimedia assignment. And we had a fantastic a website where some students developed a multimedia project for their gastronomy and communication unit, and they looked at TV in Australia over the years, and that was a fantastic example of an assignment. We do things like memoirs, writing a recipe memoir from your family. So students are committed to taking the 12 weeks, and students can either complete 1 or 2 units per session. So starting in January, June or October, students can opt to study 1 unit, and that's what we recommend to people who are working or have other commitments, 1 unit at 15 hours per week. But if you have more time, you may choose to do 2 units. And we occasionally have people with special permission, doing 3 units if they have perhaps a sabbatical from their work and they want to complete 3 units to fast track their way. We offer 3 sessions per year, and that also enables people to fast track their studies. Instead of offering the traditional 2 semesters, by offering 3 trimesters, or sessions as they're called, per year, students can study more weeks of the year and actually fast track their studies, which people find fantastic. And they can then sometimes study in only 2 sessions of a year to fit in and around their major workloads. So we have one lady who is a tour guide, and her main tours are to Europe, so she doesn't study during the June session, and that works around her lifestyle. Moving on to the different sessions, from here I've just written down for you from 2015. We do have one more session this year in October. So October the 20th is session 3, and we are still taking applications for session 3. And in October, the units that will be running for October are, I believe, Gastronomy and Communication and Event Planning and Design. So session 3 this year. And then from 2015, there will be 8 core units, but one of those units, the bottom one there, Capstone Project, is a double-weighted unit. So that's equivalent to 2 units. So students need to complete those 9 core units, and from next year those units will be compulsory. And then they have the 3 units that are an elective. So they get to choose the other 3 units. And I mentioned before that from next year there'll be an option to do an internship. And that internship will be equivalent to those 3 units. Otherwise, students can choose from 3 units from the program, and we'll talk through those different units in a moment. But talking through these 8 units that are the core units from the program, students will need to complete 4 of these to get a graduate certificate in gastronomic tourism, or 8 of these units to get a graduate diploma. And then starting with Principles of Gastronomy. Kath, if you can move on to that page. Principles of Gastronomy, that's a fascinating unit, really terrific, delivered by David Scott. And Principles of Gastronomy looks at the history of gastronomy right through the ages up until the end of the 19th century. So looking at the etymology of the word gastronomy, looking at the development of gastronomy as a topic of study in France, and how gastronomy came to be, and the development of gastronomy as a field of study. Next, we move on historically, and we look at food and drink in contemporary society, so the 21st century, and issues facing us today, things like dietary habits, the demise of the kitchen table, globalisation, slow food, fast food, and real issues relevant to us today and the way that we choose to eat within our culture today. Next, we have, what was the next one? Gastronomic tourism. Gastronomic tourism, delivered by Deborah Shea, is a fascinating look at gastronomic tourism as a field of study. What is gastronomic tourism? What is required to deliver a tourist experience? What are the important aspects of a tourism experience? And what is gastronomic tourism? And what does that mean? What does that mean to people today? And how do you create those tourism experiences? And how do you differentiate your tourism experience from other regions? And how do you create an authentic and sustainable tourism experience? Gastronomy and communication. Gastronomy and communication looks at food in art, food in literature, food in theatre, food in media. What is food? Food is a symbol, and what does food and drink represent? So in this unit, students start to look at food writing and how to write a restaurant review, how to write about food, how to communicate using food as a symbolic meaning. And this touches on your own personal experiences and how to write for media, how to write your own book, and how to distill your experiences into word. One of the other core units that's very important to delivering a gastronomic tourism experience is tourism and hospitality management. So what are the management issues affecting, cellar doors, small tourism operations, and what issues do you need to be aware of as a manager? And it starts to touch on things like marketing, human resource management, operations management, all relevant within a tourism context. Event planning and management. As I'm sure you're very aware, event management is a huge part of gastronomic tourism. A lot of regions around, from my knowledge, Australia, create tourism events. They create food festivals, wine festivals, fairs, farmers markets. And these things are all events that help build an area's identity and help create that tourism product. These events are helping revitalise communities, creating jobs. This is one of the areas where, job creation will be enormous over coming years. And so, it's important to know the basic knowledge about event planning and management. What's needed to run a successful event? How do you create an event that's different from other events? How do you market that event? How do you use social media to promote your event? How do you stage your event? And who do you need? What stakeholders do you need to help support running your event? And these are great ways for you as a student to start building up your local networks of people in your area by looking at the event that you're studying and looking at that against your local area. Who do you know in your local area? Do you know your tourism policy advisor? Do you know the local cellar door operators? And starting to build your network for your future career. I won't go into the elective units in as much detail unless anyone's interested, but once you complete the 8 units, which is 9 units equivalent, including your capstone project for tourism hospitality, which is a unit that allows you to spend 12 weeks looking at a topic of your interest and working with a unit assessor on creating that project. Once you've completed those units, you then have to select the units that you want depending upon what stream of interest you have. So if you have a look at the elective units, if your interest is in the gastronomy field, then you would choose the units food and wine technology, food and wine writing, and the aesthetics of food and wine. So looking at all aspects of gastronomy, and that would be your specialisation. So food and wine writing really builds on gastronomy and communication and looking at how to write, and a lot of the written assessments for that are quality writing for the media. So a great project if you're looking at moving into communication, media, journalism, if you're a food blogger and want to really hone your writing skills. Aesthetics of food and wine looks at our senses and how our pleasure is derived from our cultural background. So what we see as food, how we feel and how we derive pleasure from food is not just about the food itself, but about our background. The French eat horse because that's part of their cultural heritage, whereas for the rest of us, perhaps we see that as quite foreign. And food and wine technology really looks in depth. There's a fascinating unit assessor for that program, Angela, and she really takes people into the science of food and wine. So how to make bread, how to make wine, beer, salami, and the processes involved and the challenges of food and wine technology. Whereas if you're more interested in doing an internship, units 7 and 8 down the bottom, you need to complete those as your elective if you want to get some work experience to back up your degree. Or if you're interested more in the management side, you can opt for strategic marketing, tourism information and communication technology, and service management. So you can really look at things like the social media aspect, communicating your business successfully, managing your business from a service perspective. So what are the unique aspects of service management that will impede upon your tourism business? And strategic marketing, you know, how to market your business, how to differentiate your marketing, your product in the market. So those are all the electives available to you, which gives you a great opportunity to follow the area that comes out in your core units. And as you're studying, you'll find that things will come out of your studies that really speak to you and that those are your passionate areas. So I was really interested in the history of food, and I looked at salami, and I compared salami from the 15th century to the current day, and I looked at salami making processes and recipes from the different ages and ingredients, and that was what I was passionate about. Just moving through, as I said briefly before, there are ways to exit the program. So after 4 units, which is a great way just to grab a little bit of specialisation in the area and study for pleasure, and we have lots of people that will study just 4 units or 8 units from the program. As I mentioned earlier today, we have session 3 coming up. Session 3 will be in October this year, and students can start their studies with gastronomy and communication and event planning and management. So we welcome students at 3 times per year, and that just gives you a quick overview for the next 3 units that are available for people. A lot of people ask about career pathways, and this is just a little bit of an example that we've come up with of pathways that you can choose depending upon your interest. You can move into tourism management and policy and advising, consultancy, working in wine tourism, food. There's so many different areas, and this is a burgeoning area globally. Culinary tourism is a growth area. Jobs in service that's the area of growth in the future. So we really see a lot of jobs being created in this field, both here in Australia and globally. So it really is up to you to use your studies to develop your networks in your local region and to go out and meet with the people and find out the area that you'd like to work in. And interestingly enough, now that we've been going for 3 years, a lot of people simply study for pleasure. This is a great lifestyle program. So not necessarily for work. We have people from IT, law, all sorts of different backgrounds, dentistry, media, who are actually just studying this program for pleasure. So it's fantastic to just do the study for interest as well as for professional career pathways. As I mentioned briefly earlier, you do study through My SCU, which is an online portal, and in that portal there are different rooms for each of the units, and each of the units have a different area for each of the topics. So each week you'll cover a topic, and there'll be discussion boards, podcasts, activities to complete, questionnaires, and you go online at a time suitable to you. And in addition to that area, you will be supported by a liaison officer. So if you have trouble enrolling, or you have some technical issues with your computer, or you fall sick, or you're running late with an assignment, you can liaise with your unit assessor or liaison officer. Also for students looking for more research articles, There's a tourism library specific to the Master of Gastronomic Tourism program. So you're supported in your studies all along the way, and you can phone or you can simply go online at a time suitable to you. So it's very flexible, and there's a lot of support for you in each of the units. As I mentioned briefly, the next session is October, and we are still taking applications for then. There are two different ways to enrol. If you have an undergraduate degree, we need a certified copy of your transcripts and your certificate or testimony. I think in America it's called a diploma. We need an application form, and you'll find the application form is actually attached. There's a study schedule attached. On your screen you should be able to see all the different attachments. I've attached all the different scholarships that are available. I've attached the study schedule to show you when units run, and I've attached the application form. So we need everyone to complete that application form and send that back to us, either with their undergraduate degree or their, if people don't have an undergraduate degree, and that's about 30% of our student body, so it's quite common, but if people have experience, we need 5 years work experience, of which 3 years is managerial experience. So, you know, working with other people or managing a particular part of your business. We need to know that you are able to undertake postgraduate study. So we ask that people provide their resume and 2 written professional references which support that resume. We also encourage people to send us perhaps an email just with some reasons about why they want to study and their ability to undertake a postgraduate level study. And sometimes we might phone with those people as well. Now, if people are coming from overseas and from a non-English speaking background, so for example Brazil, we do need an IELTS of 6.0, which is an English language test, or something equivalent. So if you come from an English-speaking background, there's no requirement. But if you do come from overseas, we will need your passport. We will need a scanned copy of your passport. So, but if you come from America or Canada, there's no need to provide English language. But if you are from a non-English speaking background, we do need that IELTS 6.0 or another test that's equivalent, and I have a full list of those that I can provide, so no problems there. Currently the units cost $2,500. From next year that will rise to $2,650. Australian citizens are able to access fee help for all of their study, and that will be supplied per unit. So it's a very simple process. Once students enrol with us, we send those students a letter of offer. Students use that letter of offer to enrol into the program. Once students have accepted that letter and enrolled into the program, they can then fill in a form which is on the top bar. It's called Commonwealth Assistance Forms. They'll need their tax file number, and they fill in that form, and then as they undertake units of study, there'll be a fee against their fee help. So it's very, very straightforward, simply one form. I have attached some scholarships, so if you would like to have a look at those at another time, we do really encourage people to seek this program out for professional development, and we offer over $8,000 in scholarships per year. So that's equivalent to it's four scholarships at 2 units. So really quite generous. Actually, that comes to $20,000. So have a look at those. And we would love if you could join us on Facebook. I'm often putting things about our current students and our graduates on there. So it's a great way to interact. We might now go to the questions page to see all the questions that people have added. And we'll start with the questions. So if you've got any questions, please do write them down. And the first question, do you want to push to slide area? At the top, push to slide area. And we will ask the different questions. The first question is, how do I enroll? So how do I enroll? It's very simple. You fill in the application form and you send that to us at australia@cordonbleu.edu, and you send that through with the required documents. So either your transcript or your resume and your 2 professional written references. I don't have an undergraduate degree. Can I still enrol? Of course. As I said before, that is 30% of our student body. And that was one of the reasons this course was developed in the first place, to enable people with experience to gather more training and education to support their experience. So absolutely. Our next question is, I am curious about the type of people with whom I will be studying. Who takes this course? Very difficult question, because if I look at the 115 people we've enrolled, a very diverse group of people. You will be studying with people from all over the world and from all different backgrounds. The main cohesive factor, it would be a passion for food and drink and an interest in developing a conscious approach to eating and drinking, to better understanding food in society, to better understanding tourism and travel. So really the cohesive factor is passion for food and drink and tourism, travel. So if you enjoy food and travel, then it really is quite a varied background. We've got chefs, dentists, people from IT, lawyers, people working in cellar doors, career changers, mature age students. We have one lady who's been working, her and her husband own a cellar door, and they've owned that cellar door for 54 years. So, coming back to study. So the age of the student population is also extremely varied. So global, people in towns, people in regions, it's really quite varied. The next question, will I be eligible for advanced standing? Thank you for this question. Advanced standing will be granted for postgraduate units of a similar level. So if you have completed any other postgraduate study, perhaps get in contact and we can work out with you whether there'd be something relevant. So perhaps if you've done food technology or if you've done a business management, a Masters of Business, you will certainly gain advanced standing. Advanced standing will not be given for undergraduate level units or vet level units. And it's very hard to assess advanced standing against experience. So do get in touch with us. We do work that out on a case-by-case basis. But my strong recommendation is, if you do have experience, all that will do is help you in your studies. So it will really support you throughout your study, because you'll have that knowledge and it will support your learning. Would I receive advanced standing for units that clearly match my work experience? Again, we really need to work with you. And at this point in time, we haven't never granted advanced standing based on work experience, simply because it's so hard to assess the relevance to the units. But we are more than happy to talk to you and put you in touch with the program manager, because we do like to assess that on a case-by-case basis. Next question, is there an internship in this master's program? And the answer will be, from 2015, yes. There is an optional elective internship. You don't have to do it, but you are allowed to do that as your elective units. This program is delivered online. What does that mean? What that means is that you will be given a web access to My SCU, which is a private portal where you go in with your unit, with your student ID, and there are different rooms within that portal for your units. So you will have a screen that is tailored to you and that will support you. And through that area, you'll be able to access all of the documents, all of the readings, all of the podcasts that your lecturer or unit assessor will place there, your unit guide, and all the documents relevant to you. And that's where you'll be able to interact with other students, with your unit assessor, and really develop your learning. What kind of computer format does the My SCU system run on? The My SCU system runs on Collaborate, and so when you enroll, you can upload the software, the Collaborate software, onto your Mac, onto your Microsoft, onto your iPad, and I've had really good feedback. Students really enjoy listening to their lecturer's podcast on their iPad. So that just makes it really flexible. You can sit on the couch and listen to what the lecturer has to say, and you know, take your notes or just put your earphones on and listen. So you know, everyone can study in the way that's relevant to them. For me personally, I didn't, you know, enjoy writing on discussion boards. I really liked to read my readings and print them out and highlight them and develop my understanding of the topic and then write my assignment. So that was how I liked to work. So you need to develop the style of learning relevant to you. Whether you like to interact with a fellow student, we have students that get together privately and study together, and we have students that study alone. It really depends on your learning style. Could you tell me more about the timetable, sessions 1, 2 and 3? Absolutely. Kath, if you can go back to the slide, the study schedule slide, the two blues there, 19. The study schedule is, it just is flexible. We have 3 intakes per year. So we have new students coming into the course 3 different times of the year, and that's the start of the unit, and those units run for 12 weeks. So this just gives you a bit of an overview of when you can study. And the next question is also relevant to this slide. How many units should I study per trimester? My recommendation is start with 1 unit. Start with 1 unit, get to understand the My SCU portal, get used to studying online, get used to postgraduate level study, get used to writing assignments at that level, familiarise yourself with the library, excuse me, and familiarise yourself with the learning system. And then once you're confident, you can then decide whether you'd like to study 1 unit per trimester session or 2 units. And it's up to you, but if you're working and have other family commitments, I really suggest studying 1 unit, because then you'll enjoy the unit. You'll be able to do all the readings, all the optional readings, as well as the required readings, and you will be able to fully immerse yourself into the topic of discussion, because the topics of discussion are fascinating and you really want to be able to enjoy those topics. If you're looking at globalisation and how it affects food, you want to be able to read everything and watch, you know, YouTube clips and interact with other students and give your personal opinion. If you're looking at, you know, gastronomic tourism or aesthetics of food and wine, the senses, and food and wine matching, you want to be able to explore that topic. You know, if you're looking at how to create an event, you want to be able to look at as many different food events as possible to compare what works, what doesn't work, why is that event appealing to me, and why are they doing that, those dinners and those activities as part of that event. So by studying 1 unit per session, you're really giving yourself the best chance to gather the knowledge. What modes of assessment are used for units for this program? If I have a look at the different units, there are things like assignments, multimedia projects. At this point in time, there are no exams, but exams have been used in the past. I don't believe there are any... so there are different assessments, but mainly they'll be written assessments. So assignments, recipe memoirs, you might do a wiki. So there are lots of different ways, and it will be different for every unit depending upon the unit assessor and the type of information that you're studying. Who delivers the units for this program? Lots of different unit assessors, but the person that will deliver your unit has a specialisation and an interest in that topic. So Gastronomy and Communication, Mika Witzel from Southern Cross University takes that unit, and Tracy Firth, also from Southern Cross University, takes Event Planning and Management. So there are different unit assessors, and that will differ each time, but those people are backed up by research, and you can Google those people, you can have a look on the SCU website and learn more about your unit assessor, and they will of course introduce themselves at the start of the unit guide, so you can really get to know each of your different unit assessors. Often they will come from the School of Tourism at the Southern Cross University. Is this a program that applies internationally, or does it have an Australian focus? What you'll find with each of the units is that the student body will bring their experience into the unit. So it truly is an international focus, but it is also a local focus. So it is local, regional, national and global, and really it covers all of those topics. So the units, you will make the unit relevant to your local, regional, national and global environment. And so it really does have an international focus. We certainly don't just focus on Australia, and the readings are certainly not purely Australian based. You know, we look at the Asia Pacific, the Americas, Europe. You know, Europe was very important to the development of gastronomy. And, you know, things like the potato came from South America. You can't look at gastronomy within, you know, a purely Australian focus. But if you're looking at gastronomic tourism, you might look at the Barossa or the Northern Rivers or Kingaroy or Daylesford, you know, as examples of, you know, flourishing gastronomic tourism destinations. So it is Australian, but it is international. It's relevant to where you live and where you operate. Do I need to come to Australia for any part of my study? No, you don't need to come to Australia for any part of your study. We are looking at the option of hosting a residential, but at this point in time that isn't running. But if you would like to come to Australia to attend that residential, you can. But this course is not open to international students wanting to live in Australia. So if you do live overseas, you will need to study this from your home. We just need to press something here, I'm sorry. Oh. Okay, who authorises the parchment for this program? Southern Cross University authorises the parchment with a seal of Le Cordon Bleu. So you have the added advantage of becoming an alumni of both Southern Cross University and Le Cordon Bleu globally. So it's a really exciting opportunity for you to network with two groups of alumni, and you can use that, you know, to your advantage wherever you live in the world. So that's a great opportunity. I believe, that you become an alumni of two different organisations and you have a dual badged parchment. Kath, if you can go back to the slide, I believe 22 perhaps, with the prices. How much does this course cost? The course costs $2,500 per unit. Next year it will be $2,650 per unit. And so, you know, if you study the Graduate Certificate of Gastronomic Tourism, it's you know, approximately $12,000. If you study the Graduate Diploma, $24,000. And so there is fee help available to Australian citizens, but you are just charged on a unit basis. So program currently costs $30,000 Australian. Are there scholarships available for this program? As I said before, I've attached all the scholarships. So yes, definitely, there are 4 scholarships available each year, and we encourage people to apply for those scholarships. Will I be eligible for fee help? In order to find out if you are eligible for fee help, you need to be an Australian citizen, and you need to go onto the government website studyassist.gov.au. But yeah, Australian citizens who haven't used up their fee help quota should be eligible for that, absolutely. Alison, thank you for joining us. What is the involvement of Cordon Bleu International Organisation in this course? Alison, thanks for your questions. Roger Hayden, who's our Educational Leadership Manager, he actually delivers one of the units, and Roger actually developed 6 of the units from the program. So Le Cordon Bleu previously offered a Master of Arts in Gastronomy, and the unit Gastronomic Tourism was part of this previous degree. And we saw the future will be about gastronomic tourism because of this burgeoning industry. So we partnered with Southern Cross University, and Southern Cross University bought the original 6 units, and Le Cordon Bleu brought 6 units. So we have been involved in developing the study materials. One of our staff delivers one of the units, and we support this program through marketing, and through we have an active involvement with the staff from the School of Tourism at Southern Cross University. So I guess it's a dual involvement, it's a collaboration. Is group work mandatory in units? Group work, I don't know about mandatory. In some of the units, students are encouraged to work in a team to develop their project. So in Gastronomy and Communication, students did a multimedia project, and they were encouraged to work in pairs. But whether or not it's mandatory, it might be difficult to say if a student perhaps is based like in Puerto Rico and they are in a difficult time zone that they can't partner up with someone. But, you know, if there are 2 students perhaps from Canada, those students might be partnered together, or you might find someone in the discussion board that has a similar passion to you, and you might want to partner up with someone. So mandatory, probably no, but encouraged, yes. Next question. Are readings all online, paid or free, or are physical texts recommended? There are no physical texts supplied as part of the program. Students are encouraged to download their readings. It is all free, and when I say free, you have to pay to be a student, but all your readings are supplied to you via that portal. So you download those readings and print them out if that's how you like to study, or read them, you know, off your iPad or your computer. But all the required readings are supplied relevant to your assignments. but there are also optional readings, and they may be supplied to you, and they may you may be directed to the e-library. There are textbooks that can be accessed through the e-library, but I'm a bit old school, so I like to go and buy my own textbook. So I would, if you were thinking about budgeting, perhaps budget $50 per session so that you can buy a textbook. You don't need to buy a textbook, but I quite like to buy a textbook so that I can then highlight, things relevant, or put stick-it notes into relevant areas. So, I found it really helpful to buy the textbooks. So I ended up buying, I think, about 4 textbooks over the course, and I did 2 units. So if that gives you an indication, perhaps allocate $50 per session. What kind of assessment are involved? As I said before, each unit, in your unit guide, you'll be able to see the assessments up front. So my strongest recommendation to anyone studying this program is to read the unit guide. It is the absolute one-stop shop. And once you read the unit guide, you get a really good sense of what is required from you from that unit assessor. And so, for example, there are written assessments, so maybe like a 3,000-word assignment on a topic. So you might write an essay, you might write a Wikipedia entry on a rare spice, and so have to research that and write it how Wikipedia want it. So the different areas of the history, the uses, cultural information, oddities, recipes. So each unit, again, is different. If you're looking at event planning and management, you might do a project where you develop a food festival. So all of them currently are online assessments. So you would submit your assignment. Currently, there are no exams for the program. How many students are likely to be in each unit at a time? Great question. Thank you, Alison. Well, it could be anywhere from 7 to 35. We had one unit last session where there were 31 students, and there was one unit where there was seven participants. So where there's 7 participants, you'll have your 1 unit assessor. Where there's as many as 31, there might be 2 unit assessors. So there might be 2 people helping to take that program, helping with the marking, helping with the discussion boards. So it varies per unit. So it depends on how far along people are in the course. And as the course evolves, there'll be more and more people taking units at different times. So it depends on each session. And that's what we found, anywhere sort of between 7 and 31 people. If you're doing your capstone project, the capstone project for tourism hospitality, it's one-on-one. So you work with your own unit assessor, one-on-one, to develop your project, and then along the way you need to explore that topic and really develop your strategy and your outline of how you're going to approach that topic, and then you work one-on-one with your assessor to flesh out your project and to present your project. And you might present your project by way of a presentation, or you might and follow it up by a written document. So, which is a great way to develop a topic that's of passion to you. Okay, Carolyn, thank you, Carolyn, for your question. The full degree program takes 4 years. If you study 2 units per session, the program will take you 2 years, because 2 units per session, 3 sessions per year. That means that you'll finish 6 units per year, and that means you can finish 12 units in 2 years. If you study 1 unit per session, then you can expect to complete the program in 4 years. 1 unit per session, 3 sessions per year, 4 years. So that's your 12 units. And it will be slightly less because the capstone project is a double weighted unit. So that only takes 1 session, but it's double weighted for that session. How easy is it to get a job in the industry with this qualification? I did mention before that we have our first Master of Gastronomic Tourism, and she's working as the Tourism Marketing Officer for the Swan Valley in Perth. And our other graduates with the graduate certificate one lady works as a producer in New South Wales, a media producer. Another lady works for Universities Australia, and I mentioned the other students before. So I strongly believe that all of our graduates, will find careers in this area, and all of our graduates are currently employed. All of the 16 that have currently graduated all have a job, and our alumni officer would be able to provide more information about that, but I'm very confident. What help is there for fees for Australian and international students? Fee help is available to Australians, and there are some tax incentives offered by other international countries. So if you live in Canada, offers a tax refund for your international education, and I'm sure other countries offer similar things. So we provide some documentation and your invoice, and you can then submit that as part of your tax refund to recoup some of that, some of the finances. How much can I borrow? I'm not sure how much you can borrow. You can borrow your entire study fees through fee help, if that's what you mean. Fee help will cover the entire cost of your study. All you will be eligible to pay is a student amenities fee of about $30, but doesn't apply to international students. But Australians have a $30 fee, and that's nothing to do with this course. That's required by the Australian government. And then again, the $50, perhaps to put aside for your textbooks. Can we just go back to that? There's one question we didn't answer from a Lajani, thank you so much for your question. Your question is, how much is the course and is there VET help? It's not a VET program, it is a postgraduate program, and yes, there is fee help, and you will be charged against your fee help per unit, and a unit is $2,650 from next year, or $2,500 if you commence this year in October. So that's all there is in terms of questions. Nobody else has any questions, but thank you so much for your time today. I know we've gone a little bit over, and I apologise for going over time, but thank you so much for your time, and we really appreciated all those great questions. Have a great day. Thank you.